And so all that to say this, you're talking about what's going on globally. This Luciferian conspiracy has been going on for thousands of years, and the whole purpose is to set up the Antichrist in the rebuilt temple on the Temple Mount. That's where it's all going. Everything funnels into that. And I think we're getting very close to seeing some things which are unprecedented, as far as I'm concerned, happen on this planet. World War III, total economic collapse. We look at the earthquakes happening on a weekly basis, 6.9, 7.2. Ayafawahoka volcano, volcanic activity globally, setting up ash clouds. The Gulf Stream may have been stalled because of the Gulf oil spill. The fires which decimated the wheat crop in Russia, over 600 fires. Floods in Poland, record floods in Pakistan. Wars and rumors of wars. We see the Middle East just bristling with activity. If there's World War III and the Iranians are involved, which of course they will be, the first thing they'll do is close the Straits of Hormuz and the Gates of Tears. The Strait of Hormuz is in the Persian Gulf. The Gate of Tears is in the Red Sea. It's a choke point for about 65% of the world's oil flows through those two choke points. You put up a radiological blockade using a dirty bomb or a nuke or whatever, and those two areas, and that's it. You've strangled, you've choked off the lifeblood of this planet, which is oil. When oil goes to $200 or $300 or $400 a barrel, and gasoline's $20 at the pump, and the trucks stop rolling, you're looking at mass anarchy, the complete collapse of the global economy as we know it. And frankly, folks, we're getting very close. All this is a setup. Every bit of it is a setup for what I believe is the coming great deception. And of course, that is, getting back to the UFO phenomena, that is ET. We talked about it at the top of the hour. It's all we're seeing is ET, ET, ET everywhere. Well, it's for a reason, because they will come as our saviors, literally. That's how they'll come when they finally manifest. And it will be after this cataclysmic event in the Middle East, this great war, nukes going off, complete confusion on the planet. They will come and they will say this. And I'm saying this a priori, well ahead in the event of of these things happening, taking place. They will say, but they created ET, created all life on this planet. ET genetically manipulated early humans. ET started the Earth's civilizations. ET created the world's religions. Now they are back again at this critical juncture to usher humankind into a time of peace, prosperity, and knowledge. They will also come bearing gifts, and that gift will be in the form of a chip. And that chip will allow you to live between 300 and 500 years disease-free. It'll extend your life. It'll also be the mark. It's interesting that the prophetic text, specific in the book of Revelation, talk about a mark, which is on the back of a hand or on the forehead, which you can't buy, sell, or trade without that mark. And people have speculated about that for almost 2,000 years. But now we see that the RFID chip is in everything. Well, in my research with the alien implants, and this is what we show with the Watchers DVD, which we're selling now. This is my latest offering. UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. When I sit down with Dr. Roger Lear at the end, the last 20 minutes of that video, we sit down with Dr. Lear and we say, okay, what are we looking at here? What are these implants? They're not tracking devices, folks. They're not tracking devices. He believes, like I do, that they are changing the DNA in a human being. And we see from ancient prophetic texts, specifically in the book of Revelation, it says that men will seek death and not be able to find it. What the heck does that mean? Think about that. Men will seek death but not be able to find it. Is that a metaphor? Is that just, poetic nonsense that some guy who's, writing in a cave 2,000 years ago? Or is he seeing the future with great specificity and clarity and warning of us of a time that's coming that in fact may be here sooner than we think? I believe that these chips that are embedded, these implants in people, are prototypes of what they will offer us that will sync the DNA. What amazed me, Freeman, is this week there was an article about scientists changing the DNA of mice and stopping them from aging. That's right. That's unbelievable. So it's all around us, and this is what they will do. And people will rush to get this chip. They will rush. We know from prophecy that sometimes different prophetic texts are talking about the same event. and we don't get how all those pieces fit until the event happens. Then we look back and go, oh my gosh, look, there were 5 different prophecies spread out over 400 or 500 years talking about this, and here it is. Well, it's the same thing in the book of Revelation that talks about the mark of the beast, buy, sell, or trade, but then later on we say, and these people will not be able to die. Put those two together, and I'm not saying that they do belong together, but this is a scenario, and I believe that they may in fact dovetail together. And then you take that and overlay it to what we know about the abduction phenomenon, the so-called alien implants, and I believe that there's a real strong parallel here, which is, in my opinion, I'm one of the first people that I know that's put that together. I don't know if anybody else in the UFO community. I mean, it's in my new book, Cosmic Chess Match, which will be released in February, but I've been letting that out of the bag. I've been announcing it on different radio shows. I think it's very important that people understand that these implants may in fact be the prototype of the mark of the beast. This may be the real mark of the beast, not digital angel. This may be the real deal, and it will extend people's lifespan 300 to 500 years. This is why people will rush to take it without a second thought. Wouldn't you?
I was just saying that in the first hour, actually. Yeah, I would love to live forever and travel the universe.
There you go.
Yeah, but what strings are attached is always the question. Now, strangely enough, I met the Twin Tower architect, Paul Laffoley.
Wow.
He designs time machines and such, but he was also the Twin Tower architect. He claims that, and he showed me the X-ray, that he has a chip in his head, and that's what's transferring this knowledge to him to design time machines, and all of the strange esoteric stuff that he gets into comes straight from that chip in his head.
Huh. Wow.
You know, it's everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Whew.
Well, yeah. And, you know, if we're starting to look at this extraterrestrial force and what's coming, and looking at, say, Nostradamus's predictions for the Antichrist, he had stated that when Mabus dies, the Antichrist will rise. Well, Barack Obama just put Ray Mabus as Secretary of the Navy, which will really be head of the United States Space Force. I don't know if that's coincidence or...
Is it with an N or an M? Is it Neighbors or Mabus?
It was Mabus, Ray Mabus. He was the governor of Mississippi, which is a very unusual place. I've done a whole film on the esoteric architecture of Jackson, Mississippi.
It's everywhere. Go to Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The Georgia Guidestones, I mean, that's a whole hour show in itself. You know, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I've been looking at a lot of things where I see the street layouts like we have of Washington, D.C. with the pentagrams and everything. But now we have Astana in Kazakhstan, which is also an extraterrestrial nation, one that's launching into space. And we have Canberra in Australia, which is also launching into space. And both of these cities have been laid out as an ancient seal of Solomon to bind spirits. Very much like the Bicentennial Mall in Nashville, the exact same layout, actually, for Astana.
Wow.
Do you think that these men that are going into these darkened lodge rooms and performing these rituals are making contact with this type of Nephilim or otherworldly beings through these rituals? Well,
yeah, and not only there, but I had a pastor call me and remained anonymous about 2 or 3 months ago. He's in the Colorado area. I'll just give the state, but I won't tell you where he was. But there was a CE5 conference, and he drove to it. And you know, this is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And what it is that people pay about $1,500 to for 2 days. They train and they learn as a group to call down ET. And so they, you know, were kind of nosing around, and they couldn't get in. You know, they had no tickets, and security was everywhere. I mean, you just couldn't get in without the right, you know, ticket and security thing. And so they, towards the end of the first day or whatever, they go up to one of the security guards, and the guy goes, you know, if you give me a 5 spot, and you know, I'll let you come in. And so they, you know, they're going on, no problem. The guy was talking like $500. Well, of course, they don't have the $500. They're not going to pay it. So anyway, they sort of befriend this guy, and they're talking to him, and they, what's going on here? Why the security? And he says, well, at the end of the meeting, they take everybody upstairs. Oop, break music.
Oh, it always comes too fast. I'll tell you, there's so many things I'd love to talk with you about. We will have to do this again. We got one more segment coming up, and we'll get deep and dark and light at the end. And welcome back. We are talking with L.A. Marzulli of lamarzulli.net. And we were just getting into a story of the pastor. Would you please continue?
Thank you. And so the pastor is, talking to the security guards, and the security guard tells them that at the end of the day, they're like indoctrinated into this thing. The group of these people go up into this upper room type deal, and they meditate, and they bring in entities. And he said specifically that the night before, they had two manifestations. The first manifestation was sort of an ectoplasmic ball of light, and the second one, a gray, manifested in front of the group. And so what they're doing is they're actually calling down these entities. All that to say this, when you go to East City Ranch with James Gillian, it's as the person that comes in on our DVD watchers, it's a UFO highway. Not only metallic craft that and spheres that light up the sky way up there over the ranch, but there's orbs which come into the field, and people just look at these things. They're unbelievable. And of course, they're engaging in practices which are helping these things to manifest. So, look, all that to say, right before the break, we were talking about, secret societies and bringing in all these different entities. Absolutely, this is what's going on. When we look at Harry Potter films and all the just the blatant occult symbolistic or symbology that we see in, let's say, Lady Gaga videos, the same thing, yes. Ritualistic sex magic. It's being used everywhere. When we add to that the 1 billion abortions done since Roe v. Wade on this planet, which is nothing more than a modern-day Luciferian satanic blood ritual of sacrifice, because that's what it is. You're killing the live child in the mother's womb. How much more satanic do you want to get? I realize a lot of people go, oh, that's, a woman's right to choose. You're clueless. You're clueless. With all due respect, you're clueless. You have no idea what's going on. If that's really the position you take, you don't understand that this is ritualistic murder being carried out. And some of these guys don't know what they're doing. Many of them do know what they're doing. But the bottom line is it's opened up portals. Why do you think blood ritualistic sacrifice was used with the Mayans, rather, or in many of the ancient cultures all throughout the planet? It's used because it opens up satanic portals. That's what it's all about. And that's what these guys do. And that's the world we're living in. I mean, just look around, like you said, and when we first started the show. I mean, this is where we're at. The Luciferian satanic agenda is everywhere. Everywhere. It's all around us.
Yeah, people try to tell me not everything's a conspiracy, and I'm like, no, you're incorrect on that. It really is. Our entire world is manifested.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
Well, so I'd like to go to a little bit of solution think. I have a pastor story. Just recently had the pastor of a church that I visited come to my door and see if I'd come back. And I explained to him that, we're in the middle of the crash and the market, the money, job rate is the worst since 1930s. I mean, they're saying it's comparable to the 30s. And as it stands, I have people falling in my lap, friends of mine that have, lost their jobs. My mother-in-law, who lost her housing rentals. She was a real estate agent.
Wow.
And so everybody's falling and crashing. And this pastor comes to my door, and my girlfriend asks him, well, what can you do for us? We have these people stuck in our homes, and they can't get up, they can't get out, they need a place to sleep, they need some food, they need a ride. And he told me, well, all your good works aren't going to help you. You're still going to go to hell. And I'm really amazed and impressed that you would actually bring these people into your home and take care of them. We would never do that. So I'm wondering now, as we start to look to Christian help in this satanic war, whether or not you feel that the churchgoers are going to be the ones to stand up and help us in this situation.
Well, what's really interesting is there are different, how to say this, there are certain parts of Christendom which have a lot of the ducks in line. Others are completely out to lunch, in my humble opinion. And it's hard to find the good from the bad, but it does exist. There's a lot of good stuff that's being done in the churches. But the churches also are steep in their own political agenda, which enervates them, weakens them, which the idea of, we have to get the tithe every week because we've got salaries to pay and buildings to build and this to do and that to do. And so it creates this rat on the wheel going around and around and around and around and around. Other churches which aren't under that financial burden can extend what they should be doing, in my opinion, to the poor and the widows. I mean, that's what we're told to do. The poor and the widows, those who are in need. Benevolence is always a good thing. That's what it's all about, is taking care of the infirm, taking care of the sick, taking care of... I mean, that's what... Look, the whole Red Cross was founded from Christianity. I mean, that's where it came from. It came from that worldview. It came from that mindset. But oftentimes, some of these guys, we got to build a bigger building, and now we need a 10,000 square foot auditorium because we've grown, and a 3,000 square foot auditorium won't hold us anymore. So they build this huge edifice that's used once a week. I mean, it's just bizarre. It has nothing to do with the experience, and it's gotten out of hand, in my opinion. But yet we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater because it's still in some facets, in some corners, it does a lot of good. There are pastors that really do care and that really do want to see people healed and their lives made better. But again, it depends on where you go and who you're with and the luck of the draw that day.
Well, it seems that a lot of people don't see what we see. And I'm glad you're out there promoting it to the world for them to understand that there's a bigger agenda going on, and that there's more than just this third-dimensional reality we're dealing with, and that we actually are dealing with a supernatural political state. I got lost there. I had a whole list of things for us. I'm sorry, this was my fault. I gave you the wrong date for the show.
Well, I apologize for the mix-up, and really would love to come back and do a longer interview because there's definitely a simpatico between us, and it's like talking with an old friend, so to speak. And it's just really enjoyed the hour, which just flew by. We could do 3 hours with our eyes closed, so I'd love to come back.
Good. We'll be talking more. Well, you can check them out at lamarzulli.net. It's linked up there on freemantv.com, and expect Lynn to be back on this show because I know we have a lot to talk about, and you have been my number one requested guest, and now I know why. We do seem to be brothers of another mother.
Hey, Freeman, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. Let's book a date soon. Love to come back.
Fantastic. Will do. Thank you all for joining me here. This may be the last show until 2011. Keep checking freemantv.com for more updates and all the archives I've got for you because there's hours and hours of infotainment there for you. We'll see you all